Hello everybody and welcome back to my top 5 gaming series. Today we're going to be looking at those games which allow you to just chill out, relax and get lost in a new gaming world. If you've had a hard time during the pandemic or you've had a super stressful week at work, then the games I have today should give you the perfect solution to forget about all life's troubles. As always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, but most importantly, don't forget to let me know in the comments, what are your favourite games to relax to? Coming in first in today's list we have House Flipper. Now, no one ever enjoys doing physical chores and they're always something we tell ourselves we'll do another day, but virtual chores on the other hand, now that's something I can get behind. Developed by Empyrean and published by Frozen District Playway SA in May 2018, that's a mouthful, had great success with fans and received very positive reviews and great feedback. The game describes itself as a unique chance to become a one-man renovation crew. Buy, repair and remodel devastated houses. Generally you start off with a rundown house which can be infected with insects amongst other things. Generally at this point most people would probably burn the house to the ground, but in this case you're actually supposed to fix the house and turn it into a dream home. I know, boring, right? There are many different mechanics in the game. Some of these might feel quite clunky when you first start out, but you soon forget this when you quickly become immersed in the game. When you get a new house you need to do several things in order to return it to sellable conditions. Firstly, you'll need to clean up the mess that the house currently has, and this can be a lot. This includes all sorts of things from spills, cockroaches, and the filth that has accumulated on windows. Once you've cleaned up the house and got it into a reasonable condition, you'll also need to become an engineer and hammer, drill, and nail things together. This includes repairing sockets, making sure the power works in the house, all the way through to installing radiators and washing machines. Once the house is clean and in working order, you'll also get to experiment with interior design. Now I'm pretty useless when it comes to interior design and my creativity is an all-time low, but some people have an eye for this sort of thing, and the game has a surprising variety when it comes to unique items to use. Now if you're completely the opposite to me and you do have some creativity in your blood, then this game can be really cool and some of the designs you can make are really interesting, but I wouldn't know anything about that so we'll just move on. Once you get through the initial handyman phase of doing small jobs to learn your trade and make some money, you then get the chance to start house flipping. This is where you buy a cheap rundown house and turn it into whatever you want it to be. The houses you buy range from having small issues such as appliances that need changing, all the way through to houses which you probably thought were due for demolition. It can take you anywhere from minutes to hours to repair the different houses, but once you're ready with them, they'll eventually go to auction. Buyers will fight it out at the auction in order to obtain your new luxury property, and the price you are able to obtain will depend on how well you have hit their likes and dislikes. Targeting a particular individual when you're converting the property is extremely important in order to maximise your profit. There is something extremely satisfying about running your own project. It's many people's dreams in real life to renovate a rundown property and sell it for a profit. Unfortunately for many of us, we don't have the time, the skill, nor the money to do this, but the game here is able to bring those dreams to reality and can lead to hours of entertainment. Now, do I really need to explain this game? The Sims was first released in 2000 and has become a household name due to the many successful games and DLCs they've been able to release in the following decades. I'm sure many, if not all of you know this game, but let's go through a quick review of why it makes my top 5. Similar to House Flipper, we all have dreams in life, whether that's to be a professional athlete, an esports celebrity, or an astronaut. Heck, you might just want a dog but your apartment block won't let you. This game allows you to fulfill near enough all your dreams and much more. Not only can you acquire your dream job, you can also socialise, party, create a family, have a pet, create your dream home, starve your family to death in a pool with no way of getting out, go fishing. The possibilities are endless. The Sims 4 was actually released in 2014, but shows no signs of slowing down in terms of player base or content being released, probably because Sims is one of EA's biggest money earners.
I haven't cried like that since Titanic.
There are of course a lot of reasons for the game's longevity and popularity, some of which I've just briefly touched on. The release of DLCs means that the original player base never gets bored due to new content constantly being released. The DLCs also provide additional reasons for new players to buy the game. Take a look at the University DLC. Do you want to relive your college years? Or perhaps experience something you feel you missed out on? This DLC enables you to do exactly that, is to explore canvas and make new friends speaking their crazy language.
Dorna Claudazoi.
Oh,
Yes.
bro, loose.
Anazuk. Answars. Anji.
Angie.
There is so much to do in Sims 4 in terms of creativity, which again begs the question as to why I play the game, but I like to try. Now, there is an almost limitless array of furniture, ornaments, appliances and colour schemes which can lead to some really cool looking homes. Another game where you don't really have to worry about life obstacles such as time and finding contractors. The Sims 4 allows you to explore avenues that might not be available to you in the real world. The main drawback to The Sims 4 is the game itself can be quite expensive. The main game is currently retailing at £35 and there are many DLCs to choose from, which means your credit card can soon rack up. Of course, you can just play the main game and maybe just pick 1 or 2 DLCs which stand out to you at the start and then get drawn in and spend all your money. But whatever you do, you're guaranteed to get lost in this game for hours and hours of gameplay. This is truly one of those games where you start at 9 AM on Saturday for a quick hour before you head out with friends, and all of a sudden it's 10 PM on Sunday of next week. A lot of people watching this video will have heard of games such as City Skylines and Anno 1800, which are both brilliant city builders in their own right. Although those games are easy to pour hours into, they can also be quite stressful when trying to sort out resource management or plan complex traffic systems. This is where the beauty of Islanders really shines. The game is self-described as a minimalist strategy game about building cities on colourful islands. You get to grow your small village into a thriving city as you expand it around the island. The mechanics of the game are fairly simple. There are no resources in the game. The game starts with you having a small amount of buildings in your inventory. You will then need to place these buildings where you see fit, generating points to your score depending on how optimally you have set down the buildings. For example, on the video on screen, the lumberjack generates points depending on how many trees and sawmills are around it. Once you reach a certain amount of points, you unlock new building options which you get to choose from. Once you decide which option to go with, your inventory will be filled up with new buildings determined by your choice. At the beginning of the game, the buildings are relatively easy to place, and it means the game can look rather simple, but as your village develops, you'll have to decide on a variety of different strategies open to you in order to maximise the efficiency of your city. If you're able to reach a certain score, you get the option to travel to a newer, bigger island and start the process again. All islands are procedurally generated, which means they are created by an algorithm as opposed to being manually created by the developers. This means that there is a near infinite amount of islands in the game, so you always have a new challenge to play. If you have placed your final building from the inventory and your score doesn't meet the relevant threshold, then the game is over and your score is uploaded and you get the chance to try again with a new strategy. Islanders is a relatively stress-free game, but if this game mode sounds too stressful for you and you really just want to do whatever the hell you want, then the game does offer sandbox mode, where you can build your city exactly as you see fit. This is a great game mode for those who just want to be creative and explore the different cities that you can build. However, a lot of the fun of Islanders does come from space management and also optimizing your strategy to maximize your score and go through the levels. Whichever game mode you choose, you're sure to have a great experience. The developers have been extremely transparent about what users can expect in the game. The game isn't meant to challenge the more complex city builders such as City Skylines, and therefore doesn't offer the same kind of late game options that would be available in those games. This game has been designed to provide a relaxing and creative environment for players to enjoy, whilst including some of the joys of other city builders. The game has been extremely well reviewed by players and is well priced at just under £5, going as low as £2.38 on a recent sale. So instead of buying your daily coffee, pick up this game and start creating. Arguably the most famous indie game in recent times. No, not you, Minecraft.
You what?
Up at number 2 we have of course Stardew Valley. Developed and published by Concerned Ape in February 2016, Stardew Valley shot to fame as one of the great simulation RPG games. You start the game by inheriting your grandfather's old farm plot in, you guessed it, Stardew Valley. You have a selection of tools and a few coins as you set out to begin your life as a new farmer. It sounds like a fairly simple game, which in some ways it is, but there's so much to do in this game and so many hours you can pour into it as you seek to repair and grow your farm, along with improving your skills over time and exploring the various areas in the game, that there is surely something for every player here. Similar to what we discussed in The Sims 4, this game enables a lot of customization and there are hundreds of options to choose from when looking to make a unique character and perhaps more importantly, a unique home. The farming itself is really simple. It is your job to look after your animals, plant and water your crops and look after the general upkeep of the farm. This is all in the lead up to actually harvesting your crops to sell in the market. The methodical nature of farming and growing your farm is very relaxing and rewarding, which results in a real feel-good factor for the player. It's extremely easy to build a routine into your in-game day, and many mistakenly believe that this is just a pixelated farming simulator. The game offers much more. You are able to explore the seemingly endless mine as you delve into the lower levels in search of stone, ore and geodes. There are enemies in the mine which get progressively stronger as the game goes on, so some care must be had when exploring. This is where the exploration side of the game really comes to the fore, but you must be careful not to explore too far too soon and risk passing out in the mine. Developing your character's skills is just as important as you maintain your farm. As you develop your skills, it will improve your proficiency or lower the amount of energy required to use a tool. This is important as the game goes on, as it allows you to fulfill more of your to-do list in a day before going back to bed. And trust me, that to-do list is never empty. The early game can feel slow paced in terms of how much you are able to get done in one day, but this soon passes, and once your farm is up and running and you have some knowledge of the game, it is hard to pull yourself away from it. As with any game, there is always the worry that once the game is released, you can never be sure if the developers will maintain it with new updates or DLC. Luckily for Stardew Valley fans, there have been several big free content updates, which have kept the community thriving. Perhaps most importantly was the introduction of multiplayer, which allows you to run a farm with friends, bouncing ideas off each other and exploring the world. You are of course able to achieve much more in one day due to the extra hands, but it doesn't feel like this makes things so much easier, and this ties into the fact that your to-do list is always full. If you do feel it is too easy and you're making too much money, then you can adjust the profit margins to suit your needs. This will depend on whether you want to have a more creative game or a more realistic farm simulator. Everyone loves hearing a story about an indie developer who made it big time, and this is another great game which shows exactly this. The game continues to review brilliantly, and even though it was released over 4 years ago, it is still well worth picking up in 2020 for some chilled out gaming. Some people may refer to me as Captain Obvious for picking this game at number 1, but credit where credit is due. Animal Crossing has helped thousands of people around the world through the tough times of lockdown by allowing players to keep in contact with friends and family through these adorable little creatures. Very few people stood to gain from the lockdown that was implemented during the pandemic. However, Nintendo would have been strangely happy with how events turned out, as it enabled them to sell Animal Crossing in such ridiculous numbers. In fact, Animal Crossing New Horizons sold over 13 million copies in the first 6 weeks alone, making it the fastest selling Switch game of all time. In a time where people were scared and uncertain of the future, the game enabled players to forget about life's troubles when stuck inside their homes, and allowed them to maintain relationships with friends that they otherwise wouldn't be able to see. Yes, there are options such as Zoom and FaceTime to keep in contact, but being able to play Animal Crossing allowed you to do so much more with friends and create new memories and experiences. Animal Crossing is a life simulator, where you find yourself on a deserted island and it's up to you to carry out a huge variety of tasks to sculpt the island into exactly what you want it to be. Nintendo has been clear that they don't want the game to be deciding what the player needs to do at any point. It's up to the player to decide exactly what they want to do next, be that sculpting the landscape around their home or just doing some fishing. Animal Crossing has a real-time mechanic it utilises, which is something that is rarely seen in games. Therefore, if you're playing a game at midnight in the real world, it will be midnight in the game. If it is winter where you are living, then it will be winter in the game. This can be frustrating for the player, as you might not necessarily get done what you want to get done in that day, but it also adds to the game's longevity and allows you to explore other games whilst always coming back to New Horizons. Multiplayer is a great part of the game. Your friends and family can visit your island in groups where you can show off your hard work to others or just hang out whilst you catch up and have a chat. You can also gift and trade items with friends, which adds to the wholesome experience that the game has. You can gift things that you think your friends might like, or maybe something that they have requested from you. This is sort of a way of working together unofficially. Crafting materials are used to craft items that can be found scattered around the island. For example, standalone materials such as a clump of weeds can be found by picking off the ground, and wood can be collected by using the axe. These are then stored in the player's inventory pockets, and if not used for crafting, can be sold to Nook's Cranny in exchange for bells, which is the in-game currency. You can craft all sorts of items, ranging from an umbrella all the way through to a bridge construction kit. This is another game where you can be as creative as you want to be, due to how much variety there is in the game. New Horizons certainly came about at the right time, and its strengths are particularly comforting right now with all that's happening in the real world. Hopefully the world goes back to normality soon, but in the meantime, this game should have everything you need to help you get through it.